Past Lives. Funny, this is actually the second romance movie with an immigrant family that moves to a big city that I've seen this year. The first was Elemental, but if Elemental was for the kids, Past Lives is for the adults.
I'm back at it.
I feel like this movie is a great date movie to watch in theaters, which I definitely did see a few couples in the theater with me, both young and old. Unfortunately for me, I'm as single as a slice of bread. So while I'm sitting in the theaters, all I'm thinking about is my past relationships.
And how terrible they all went.
Anyway, Past Lives, directed by Selena Song, and her directorial debut. She also worked on the Wheel of Time TV show on Amazon Prime, a show that I did not finish. I only watched the first episode, but my sister really liked it.
So when are we going to do another episode of Cobra Kai?
Not now, Alicia. Anyway, the story follows Na Young and Hai Song, childhood sweethearts who lose touch with each other after Na Young's family moves from South Korea to America and her family changes their names. But eventually, they reconnect with each other after decades apart.
혜성! 와, 너다.
Yeah, I know it's me.
And the movie presents the questions, are people meant to be? What is true love? And of course, past lives. And if we knew each other in past lives.
There's a word in Korean, 인연. It means providence or fate.
This movie was slightly depressing for me, in a good way.
Okay.
If you ever thought, that girl was definitely hitting on me, or maybe, dang, that's the boy that got away. And I think you'll relate to this movie. I mean, we eventually jump to 20 years later where Nora is now married to a completely different guy. But the whole first half of the movie spend time seeing her and Hai Sung connect with each other. And the whole time you're just thinking, these two are meant to be with each other. And not that other guy. Fuck that guy. Like, I felt like I wasn't watching a movie. I felt like I was intruding into these people's lives. It felt like I was actually watching real relationships on screen. And I was seeing a glimpse into their lives. And that's how real these characters felt. I think that's contributed to how the director uses silence in this movie. A lot of romance movies usually have the characters talking nonstop. There's just nonstop dialogue, especially in rom-coms. But it's the lack of dialogue in this movie the characters don't say to one another that speaks volumes. It's like Uma Thurman said in Pulp Fiction.
That's when you know you found somebody really special. And you can just shut the fuck up for a minute, comfortably share silence.
The movie also has a lot of subtle storytelling as well. Like, there's this one scene in the movie where the two characters are walking through this very romantic park. And if you look in the background, you see a lot of couples in this park as well. And I feel like in any other romance movie, the characters will probably point this out, like, oh, look, there's a lot of couples here. It almost feels like we're a couple. But the characters never point this out. It's just something that I noticed in the scene. There are 2 points in this movie that just felt way too real, that I felt awkward for the characters watching these moments.
The guy flew 13 hours to be here. I'm not gonna tell you that you can't see him or something.
The first moment is when Nora's talking to her husband about her childhood friend, and she's just talking about how awesome he is, how handsome he is, how great he is, and you could just see on her husband's face, whose name is Andrew, by the way, and you could just tell that Andrew, he doesn't want to hear all that. Ain't no one got time for that. And I just felt that movie was just too real. Like, yep, I've definitely been in that situation before where. Another moment that just made me feel so bad for Andrew, where they're all out at a bar and Andrew, he speaks enough Korean. He speaks some Korean, have decent conversations, but not enough, so you have Nora translating for the both of them. But at a certain point in the conversation, she stops translating and just starts having conversations with her friend, and the camera is slowly zooming in on them two, and Andrew is just pushed out of the picture. Like, even the camera is not interested in Andrew anymore, and you can't help feel bad but for the guy, but it's just like these two just have a connection that Andrew cannot share. Like, I felt the same way watching this movie that I felt while watching Everything Everywhere All at Once, where sometimes you just have a bond with someone that you can't explain, that feels like it's lasted forever. And that's what they show in this movie. But at the same time, it reminds me of real life relationships I had, not just relationships, but just friendships with people, where sometimes you meet someone and then they go away, or you go away, and you never hear from that person again. And that's fine too. That's life. That's what happens. Sometimes you meet people and then they're out of your life, but you have to move on. And that's also another lesson that this movie teaches. Overall, this was a great movie, another banger by A24. I really can't think of an A24 movie that I didn't like in some capacity. Maybe Beau is Afraid, but then again, that movie was 3 hours long, so this is a decent hour and 30-minute movie that was right up my alley. But honestly, it felt longer than that. It's amazing how well the pacing is in this movie. I definitely recommend you go see Past Lives if you haven't already. But I would like to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Also, like this video or dislike this video and let me know what I need to improve on. And maybe also consider subscribing for more content in the future. Once again, this is Infinite Repeat. I've been Nate. Stay up.